Every holiday season, I feel the need to add another movie to the list of Christmas classics. There's something fun about rewatching movies that aren't normally thought of as Christmas movies and reevaluating them through a Christmas perspective, as long as it has a winter holiday backdrop of some sort. Hey, if Die Hard can make it onto the list without having a single flake of snow, well, then it's easy to add Gremlins, Batman Returns, and Lethal Weapon. Even Rocky IV could be argued as a Christmas movie. So now here's one. How about The Shining, the Stanley Kubrick version? It's about a family that stays in a hotel during the winter season. Could that be a Christmas movie? I'd imagine most people would say no, and they'd probably be right. But wait, let's see. We're going to get deep into it. But first, a word from this video's sponsor. Today, let me tell you about a game that I take with me everywhere and that keeps pulling me back in over and over. The game is, of course, Raid: Shadow Legends. Available on PC and mobile, build your adventuring party from a pool of over 650 unique champions and fight your way through ferocious enemies and face off against PvP opponents or team up with other players to challenge the ultimate bosses. This month, MMA and pro wrestling legend Ronda Rousey joins Raid as a playable legendary champion. Ronda's backstory is pretty cool, taking some inspiration from her background in combat sports. Ronda's true potential as a fighter became obvious as she took on 4 knights barehanded during one tournament. She quickly made her way kicking ass and taking names until she became queen of the arena. Get Ronda for free right now. Whether you're a longtime player or brand new to the game, just log in for 7 days between now and February 28th to unlock Ronda. To celebrate her arrival, use special promo code RAIDRONDA in-game to get even more helpful stuff to level Ronda up so she's at the top of her game. And if you're an Amazon Prime member, you can get your exclusive rewards in Raid right now. And for new players, there's more. If you use my link or scan the QR code on screen, all new players will receive a free starter pack worth almost $30, including a free champion, Vergus, and this incredible in-game loot. You'll find these rewards here in your inbox for the next 30 days only. Again, just click the link in the description or scan that QR code on screen. It's that simple. The Shining is probably one of the most analyzed movies of all time. Kubrick had a reputation as being very specific to detail and hiding all kinds of subliminal secrets in his films. The Shining seems to get dissected the most. The biggest example I know is the documentary Room 237. It tells some theories that are far-fetched, but also some that are interesting. It mentions how the number 42 can be found all over, and then there's that famous theory how Kubrick helped hoax the moon landing. The documentary makes the case that Kubrick was hiding a subliminal confession in The Shining. It points out that Danny is wearing an Apollo 11 shirt, and the room he's forbidden to go into is 237, which they say is referencing the 237,000 miles between the Earth and the moon, though that number isn't totally accurate. Either way, it's fun to analyze, and so many theories have been proposed. You could probably look up The Shining and 33 robot frogs, and I'm sure somewhere on the internet there's something about The Shining and 33 robot frogs. But is it a Christmas movie? Well, at first thought, of course not. There's no mention of Christmas, and if Kubrick wanted to show Christmas, that would be Eyes Wide Shut. But there might be a case to be made here. I'm just going to talk about the movie. I'm taking the Stephen King book out of the equation since the film is very different and is more of a standalone Kubrick work. Talking about the differences between the film and the book and the pros and cons of Stephen King's own TV adaptation could all be a topic for another day. First question, does it actually take place on Christmas? The answer is uncertain. Let's check it out. Clearly, it takes place during the Overlook Hotel's off-season, which is the late fall and winter. It's explained that the hotel closes during that time due to the heavy snow on the roadways. Jack Torrance is hired as the winter caretaker, with intentions to stay there with his wife and son until the spring. We don't know how long they actually do stay, but the question would be if they lasted till Christmas, and if Christmas Day is actually shown or not. There's no hard evidence one way or another, and it can only be speculated. The movie's broken into chapters with titles showing the day of the week. This doesn't tell us much. We don't even know what year it takes place. The book would have taken place sometime in the 70s, but if you want to say the movie takes place the year it came out, it would be 1980. In that case, Christmas would be on a Thursday. The last time the movie gives us a day is Wednesday, but it rolls over into what seems like the following day, which in that case would have to be Thursday. A coincidence? Maybe, maybe not. So maybe Christmas happened somewhere during the movie. We don't know for sure, but that brings up another question. Does a Christmas movie need to take place on actual Christmas Day or just during the Christmas season? Usually it would have to be Christmas Day, but I'd say there could always be exceptions. Here's where it gets interesting. The hotel's last day of operation is October 30th. That would mean the first day it's closed would be Halloween. We are watching a horror movie, and it would be pretty easy and cliche to mention Halloween, but Kubrick avoids it. In fact, we see the Torrance family getting the tour of the hotel on October 30th, and after that it says a month later. So now we're already on November 30th. So not only do we skip over Halloween, but Thanksgiving too. Back to October 30th. The chef, Dick Halloran, shows them where all the meat is stored. He definitely mentions turkeys, so it can be assumed the Torrance family had themselves a Thanksgiving dinner. We just never see it. Jack sees a big party happening in what's supposed to be a vacant ballroom. At first glance, we'd assume it's a New Year's party. After all, we're in the middle of the winter, right? However, let's look at the ending. I'm talking about the photo on the wall, which has been discussed a lot. The topic is usually about why Jack is in the photo, but that would get us off track right now. So what I want to talk about is the date, July 4th. It seems odd that the only holiday that gets a mention is a summer holiday, the complete opposite of what we'd expect. After skipping over all the other holidays, it comes unexpected. But it only says July 4th ball, not 4th of July or Independence Day. Nothing patriotic is shown in the photo. It's black and white, so there's no chance to look for anything red, white, and blue. I'm not seeing any stripes or stars. It's just a random July 4th ball, which I think is a clue that this film might take place in a world where holidays don't exist. So the fact that Christmas is never mentioned could mean nothing, or it could mean everything. The idea of depicting the Christmas season without Christmas or Hanukkah or any of the fall and winter holidays could be an essential ingredient to this film's power and effect. It projects the thought of Christmas into your mind. I mean, I swear, I saw a scene of the family decorating a tree. Or weren't there some stockings hanging, Christmas lights in the ballroom? No, none of it's there. I wouldn't go as far to say it's a Mandela effect. It's more like Kubrick used a magician's hypnosis trick to imply the idea of the winter holidays. First, it has something to do with all the snow. Every Christmas movie needs snow, and here you get plenty of it. The snow has an especially big presence because the whole plot is centered around it. The snow is the reason the hotel can't stay open in the winter. Jack's entire job and the reason he's at the hotel is based around the fact that there's so much snow. It's also the biggest obstacle for the characters. It makes it more difficult for Wendy and Danny to escape and for Dick Halloran to come rescue them. Then there's the subject of family. Most Christmas movies are centered around family in some way. They often involve a family going on a vacation somewhere. The Shining is no exception, other than the fact that the trip is work-related. But while he's there, his family starts getting on his nerves. Kind of reminds me of Christmas Vacation and any of those movies where the dad is struggling to make the best of the holidays, but everything's going wrong. Of course, with The Shining, Jack goes full psychopath. But even Clark Griswold goes pretty crazy.
We're going to press on, and we're going to have the happiest Christmas since Bing Crosby tap danced with Danny fucking Kaye.
And while Jack wields an axe, Clark uses a chainsaw. I'd say the biggest theme of The Shining is family and what they have to go through while isolated together. But instead of a positive, heartwarming outcome, The Shining goes with the most pessimistic and morbid results. Then there's all the little details. Like I said, you could explore any Kubrick film and find something to make a case for, like when Jack is locked in the food closet. Look at all those food products. Treetop? And the sacks he sleeps on say holly. Also, when he picks up the axe, that makes me think of using an axe to cut down a Christmas tree. And if you want to play the number game, Jack's boss, Ullman, tells him the road to the hotel is a 25-mile stretch.
It's a 25-mile stretch of road.
Like the 25th day of December? Ullman tells him one of his main jobs is to go down to the boilers, heating different parts of the hotel on a rotating basis, kind of like Santa Claus going down all the chimneys. Meanwhile, he's always on his typewriter, some kind of writing project, or maybe he's making some kind of list. There's even a scene where Danny is sitting on his lap. It's framed just like a kid sitting on Santa's lap. When Jack is frozen to death at the end, I can't help but think of Jack Frost, the personification of winter. And with all the balloons scattered in the hall, it only makes you think of Christmas balls. It's all a stretch for sure, but what made me associate this film with Christmas to begin with? It's not just me. Many have asked the same question. Is The Shining a Christmas movie? Some of the things others have pointed out is that during the opening driving scene, the name Donner is mentioned, which reminds you of Donner the reindeer. And when Grady spills the drink on Jack, he says it's Advocat, which is related to eggnog. Many have pointed out that the film uses lots of red and green. I've looked for it, and sure enough, when Jack's walking through the empty ballroom, the seats are red and the tables are green. Wendy's wearing red while she's walking through the green hedge maze. The bathroom in room 237 is kind of green, and the bathroom in the ballroom where he talks to Grady is as red as can be. And of course, you can't forget the famous pouring red blood. I need to add that the blood of Christ is said to be how Christmas got its red color, and the green represents the eternal life of the evergreen tree. And I need to add that one of the first colors to be associated with Christmas was gold, and actual gold was said to be one of the gifts of the Magi to Christ. Well, what's the name of the ballroom that Jack keeps visiting? The Gold Room. So why would any of this be intentional? If it were meant to be a Christmas movie, why would it be subliminal? Well, that's the beauty here. It's like some kind of flip-sided bizarro realm, a Christmas movie without the Christmas, a movie that takes the light away, leaving only the darkness. Christmas is seen as a cheerful, bright, and jolly time. Everywhere you go, you see decorations, lights, hear Christmas music. It's hard to ignore even if you wanted to. But imagine if it all disappeared. By default, December would be one of the most depressing times because we're heading into a long, cold winter. The holidays serve as a distraction, but without that distraction, just by the pure laws of nature, this is the darkest, most somber time. The days are much shorter, it's frigid, you're shoveling snow, unless you live somewhere awesome where this shit doesn't happen. But anyway, The Shining could be seen as some sort of anti-holiday film. It's the reverse of A Christmas Carol. You know, a grumpy old man is visited by ghosts who make him into a better person. Well, here in The Shining, we also have ghosts, but they do the opposite. They make Jack into the worst person that he can be. Would this make it a Christmas horror film, like Black Christmas or Jack Frost or Christmas Evil? I don't think so. This is different. It's more like a movie that takes place during Christmas time with all the cheer removed, acknowledging the natural looming threat of winter. In ancient times, it was a big worry that the harvest would be depleted, no crops would grow for a while, and that's one of the reasons why the onset of winter was viewed as a scary time. When Jack first visits the ballroom bar, it's completely dry, not a bottle in sight. The book and TV version elaborate more on Jack's history with alcoholism. Nevertheless, it's still present here in the Kubrick version. Jack's Christmas wish, perhaps, is just for a drink, even saying he'll sell his soul for one. Of course, the bottles and bartender somehow materialize, and Jack begins to indulge in his old ways. This harkens back to the more ancient and medieval ways of celebrating the holidays, with lots of booze and hard partying, the opposite of what became a family occasion. The idea of the alcoholic Jack versus the family Jack are like two opposing forces here. The winter holidays are a time of indulgence, whether it's drinking or just going off a diet. And it's often followed by a long period of soberness, eating healthier, or just getting back on the wagon, as they say. As the characters head into the winter, the threat of the cold chill is so great that Jack meets his demise by freezing to death. But I never felt he really died. The way his frozen eyeballs stare, it seems almost like he's in a dormant stage, that he'll come back next year. So, indulge me. Let's go with the idea that Jack is the personification of winter. Let's go back before all the Christmas traditions, before all the Santa stuff, before Christianity. There's no recorded agreed upon date as the birth of Christ. The Romans chose December 25th, deciding that that was the winter solstice. And it's not the actual winter solstice, but close. Anyway, choosing that as the date to celebrate Christ's birth, if it were the winter solstice, the shortest day of the year, the day with the least hours of sunlight, what would you want on the darkest day of the year? Someone or something to bring your spirits up. Seems like a perfect choice for that to be the nativity. And in that case, could it be Danny, who is the shining, the light in the darkness? If you want to have a field day, you could pick out Bible verses like, to shine upon those who sit in darkness, and his radiance is like the sunlight, and there is the hiding of his power. Danny very much has a hidden power. It's been said that there's many links between Christ and the sun. There's even some biblical passages that support it, like the sun of righteousness will rise, sun as in S-U-N, and rise as to literally rise. And the holy day of the week is Sunday. We know that sun worship goes way back to ancient celebrations, and it's been speculated that the custom of worshiping the sun on the winter solstice was reappropriated when setting December 25th as the birth of Christ. Just an example of one of these ancient winter solstice holidays is Yalda Night. It's a Persian and Afghan festival taking place on the longest night of the year, celebrating light over darkness. In Syriac, the language of ancient Syria, Yalda means birth. This would mean the birth of the Iranian god Mithra, who is basically the god of the sun, but also represents light, justice, and is the protector of the harvest. In the film, the protector is Wendy. I'd say she would be this film's version of the sun god. When she's at the top of the steps swinging a bat at Jack, the chandelier is framed behind her head as if crowning her with a sun. Well, compare it with this image of Mithra. Check it out. Mithra is often depicted with the same type of sun crown and is also holding a wooden staff in the same manner as Wendy. As the sun god and protector of the harvest, Wendy is taking down Jack, who represents winter and darkness. So it's a battle of light versus dark, and while Jack gets beaten and locked up, just like the winter, he comes back again. And if you think of the winter solstice as the birth of the sun, it kind of makes sense in a way. It's the shortest day, so of course that means every day after is going to keep getting longer and longer. So the first day would be like the beginning, the birth. And after we reach the longest day, they start getting shorter again. So in The Shining, as they approach the winter solstice, they metaphorically keep going deeper and deeper into a cold, dark place. Jack chases his son into the hedge maze. It's the dark chasing the light. Danny, the son, the S-U-N, son, if you will, runs deeper and deeper into this maze. To begin with, there's something interesting about this maze that I can't quite put my finger on. It seems like some kind of ceremonial place, something the ancient druids might have built. Especially when you look at that overhead shot and see the whole maze, it evokes the feeling of some kind of ancient symbol or what, I don't know. But the very middle, from the top view at least, sort of resembles Stonehenge, if only it was circular. There's many theories to the purpose of Stonehenge, and one of them is that it was a burial ground. And what do you know, the Overlook Hotel happened to be built over a burial ground. But more importantly, some say Stonehenge may have been some kind of solar calendar to keep track of the sun's movement. Of course, Stonehenge is in ruins, but if the whole thing was still standing today, the largest trilithon would enclose the sun as it sets on the winter solstice. It traps the sun, if you will. You see where I'm going here? Danny is trapped, but then he stops retraces his steps, and starts working his way back out again. He leaves Jack behind. The time of darkness is over, and now it's the beginning of the sun. And there you have it.
Here's Johnny!
In my conclusion, The Shining is either not a Christmas movie at all, or it's so much of a Christmas movie that it goes deeper into the core. It's a winter solstice movie, regardless of which tradition you celebrate. It's a movie about the natural cycle of light and dark. I know this is all a big stretch, and I'm kind of having a little bit of a laugh, but I do think it's all worth considering. I hope you had fun with this. I really did, a lot. I hope I've helped enrich your enjoyment of this beloved film, which seems to become even more enjoyable the more you talk about it. It ages like fine wine or red rum. Happy winter solstice.